All right, so we're gonna continue on with our suspension of the RalliFart. This time we're going to do the rear. And so all we gotta do on the rear is basically adjust the new sway bar end links that we got to fit to our car. And we're also gonna try to see if we can snake out the stock sway bar in the Ralliart, and then try to install this Whiteline sway bar, which lets us adjust how stiff or how soft it is in the back. That'll be very important when we're running this car on the track, especially going into those corners. And typically with the Ralliart, what I notice is that you'll have more understeer. So let's get started on this, and hopefully it's not too complicated to get this installed. So the first order of business is we're gonna be removing the stock sway bar end links. We'll need our wrench and an H5 hex bit so we can remove our sway bar end links. All right, we got these stock sway bar end links out. So now let's see if we can take out the actual sway bar itself. And you kind of see the space is kind of limited back here, especially on the top bolt that holds the sway bar with the bracket. So if you have a flexible head wrench like this, it'll come in clutch. They cost about $5 each, or even less if you get them in a set. All right, so it looks like the sway bar is completely loose. So let's see if we can snake this out of here. Yeah, it's kind of stuck in there. So I had to basically remove this bracing that goes from the lower control arm joint to up here in the subframe. So I'm just gonna keep the orientation like this, how it is. I forget what direction it was, and then I'll do the other side, and hopefully we can get this sway bar out. Well, it looks like we basically had to drop the rear diff. It's being held up by this jack, so we're good. We're letting it kind of go down a little bit. But yeah, I tried to see if there was a way to snake this out, but there's no way to get this out, just because of the way that the sway bar is curved and all. So we basically had to drop the diff. But this is a good learning experience because we will be replacing the bushings on the diff as well to get a way better response when shifting. But yeah, basically we had to remove part of our exhaust, and I tried to see if removing the control arms out of the way would be enough, but it wasn't. It's unfortunately this sway bar is just has too many turns and curves for it to remove. But hopefully now that we got this lowered a little bit, we can remove this without issue. All right, so we were able to get this out. Oh my gosh, yeah, you have to drop the diff down pretty low. Hopefully I'm not doing any damage to the CV axles, but yeah, that was a pain, Mitsubishi. I don't even want to see what the front one's gonna be like. Probably the same situation. Yeah, there's a pretty big difference in terms of how rigid and how thick the sway bar is. So this is like super light. It's just a little bit heavier. I don't know if you can hear that with the clunk, but the cool thing about this is that we can adjust the stiffness, and so this is gonna be awesome for track. Now let's put the new one in. Since we're down there already and have the diff pretty much kind of dropped like halfway, we went ahead and removed the brackets that hold the diff, and we're gonna be installing some Whiteline bushings, some polyurethane ones, for a better response when shifting. And so we're gonna go ahead and replace this while we have it available at our disposal. And then this bushing will be installed where the subframe and the diff are mated together. So we'll also be doing that while we're under the car. And so to do this job, we will need to use the press kit to press these out. Hopefully it's not too hard since these aren't that big. And we will use our jigsaw to basically cut the bushing out that's currently in the subframe. So we'll see how that works out. All right, so we got the OEM bushing out of the subframe. Don't do what I did. I messed that up just a little bit. I didn't realize that the bushing only is halfway in. So I kind of ended up cutting some bit of the subframe with the jigsaw. So you can see right there and right there. So yeah, don't do what I did. I think I'll be all right, but we'll get the new polyurethane white line bushing in. And for the brackets that hold the rear diff, it's gonna be pretty easy. I have the cubs to push it out with this press kit, and then we'll replace them with these polyurethane bushings. With the press kit and an impact gun, we make easy work of getting these stock bushings out. And so now we're gonna get these white line polyurethane ones installed on here onto the brackets. And then if you're doing any kind of bushings like this, just make sure that the orientation of the openings is correct. This is how it was on the stock ones. So we'll just follow that same orientation as per White Line's instructions. And so these are greased up and ready to get bolted on. And then now we just have to grease this one up and put it inside of the bore of the subframe. Again, orientation matters, so you'll see here in a little bit. All right, and we got it installed. And the orientation for this is having the openings upward and downward like this. This is gonna help out so much with the way this car drives and the way it shifts. Oh man, let me tell you, it was way easier getting this sway bar over this rear diff, even with it being dropped like that. So already a positive with this White Line sway bar. All right, and with the brackets on for the rear diff, I also recommend putting on the bolt that goes into the subframe from the brackets, just because it'll make it a lot easier to torque these bolts down. Well, I guess I goofed it. I got a little frustrated, a little bit impatient, and basically I used an impact gun to get this bolt in. And so, not even thinking about it, I basically stripped the threads inside of the subframe housing. So I'm gonna have to fix that, because yeah, right now it won't torque, and it's not completely loose, but we want to make sure like that this does not at all have any chance of getting loose. And under movement of the diff, yeah, we definitely need to get this fixed. So I think what I'm gonna need to do is buy a Time-Sert kit specific for this bolt and this this opening where the threads are. Like I said, we goofed it, so this project's gonna be on hold for a little bit until we get this sorted out. But hey, we got our new sway bar installed, and it is looking good. Should have known better than to use the impact gun and have, give it a little bit more patience. Use the wrench on the other bolts, and they torqued down just fine. This one just did not want to keep torque down, and it just kept spinning, and then it finally just gave out. So yeah, just take your time, be patient. So we got the bushing out of the way, and now we basically just need to first drill out all of this that's inside, all the messed up threads, and we continue on with the kit. All right, and we tried to drill as straight as possible for those threads, and you can see we kind of basically removed them. Try not to get a shadow, but that's what we want. Try not to mess with it too much. And so now we're gonna get the actual threads run for the insert. Actually, according to the instructions provided by Time-Sert, we want to get the bore created, so then the insert over here can sit flush. As you can see, the inserts have like this little ridge on top of them, so it can basically bottom out. And so that's why we need to create the bore first for the hole that we drilled out from the threads, and then we'll recreate the threads for the insert itself with this tool that we got from Milwaukee, and it's pretty nice. So let's continue. As you can see, we created that bore around the edges so our insert can sit nice and flush once we get the new threads made in here. And then this is gonna be probably the most important part. You wanna make sure that when you're doing the threads, you're as straight as possible with the setup that you're gonna be doing. So once it goes in and once the threads are starting to go, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the direction that the threads are gonna be in and the bolt's gonna be in. So just be aware of that. And once we're spinning freely now, you're basically done getting the threads created. I should have got better footage of the threads before, but wow, these are brand freaking new. Now we just need to get the insert in and finish up this this fix. And to install the insert, we're using the tap wrench with this driver bit. We're basically going to be screwing it in until the insert bottoms out. And the bottom of the insert is actually going to expand a little bit, so that's what's going to hold it in place where we created the threads, basically. But we're also going to be putting on some red thread locker just to make sure that, you know, we have a stronger hold and make sure that, that we get a good install. And finally, there it is. The insert, nice and installed. And you can see the red thread locker kind of oozing out a little bit. That's what we want. It's not all the way flush, but I think it's fine. I think it's good enough, especially for the issue we were dealing with, not with it being stripped and all. And as you can see, when I go to screw this in, screws in nice and smooth. And just like that, we are freaking good to go. We were able to torque down everything just fine, and I could not be happier. So these that mount upwards are 52 foot-pounds. And then this bad boy over here is torqued down to 81 foot-pounds. So yeah, now it's nice and solid. We got this fixed, and now we should be able to enjoy our new polyurethane bushings from Whiteline that we got installed for the back here on the diff. And so now we can get back to doing what we were originally doing, which was the sway bar and our new adjustable end links from Whiteline. And yeah, we're gonna be starting with the softest setting, which is this hole farthest away from the back of the sway bar, and then we will adjust if we need to, just kind of seeing how it drives initially, and then like I said, we'll make adjustments. But yeah, let's get to this. We finally got our adjustable sway bar end link and our sway bar from Whiteline installed, and we did a simulated preload, so we were able to tighten down our bolts. And do not forget to install these heavy-duty washers on each side of the sway bar. So final thing to do is to get our exhaust pipe installed back where it needs to be, so we could finally get this on the road and give it a much needed test drive. After coming from a test drive, I still can't get over how smooth it drives now. After changing the control arms in the front of the car, it just drives so much better, especially at like higher speeds. The geometry is different since we're using Evo X arms. The caster, I think, helps so much in keeping everything so stable at higher speeds. It just feels so good to drive. Like I just can't give these bushings enough credit. And then the rear, I think we can make some adjustments on the rear, even though we have a new sway bar, and then the adjustable end links. But I think we can make the sway bar a little bit more stiffer, because when I'm turning it, I could still feel that understeer just a little bit. But since we can adjust how stiff and soft the sway bars in the back, we'll probably end up doing that sometime in the future. We're gonna keep moving on to more and more things. So thanks for watching, and until next time.